Hey guys, welcome to a new video about how I made We Got the Fire. This is a track that I made 2 months ago or a little bit more, and I already tested it in a clubs around the world, got a really cool feedback, and it's coming out in the middle of September. So the philosophy behind it is to combine this hard groove funky techno that I do lately together with a peak time techno. What it means, if you didn't know, hard groove funky techno started many years ago. I was part of that with Valentino Cazziani, where we made recycled loops, and I recently kind of revived the polyvinyl project with this kind of sound, obviously in a new way, and with a new processing, a new arrangement, all this kind of stuff, just modern. Um, that being said, this stuff I try to mix now with big time techno. In terms of the arrangements, I want to do more, um, a little bit, how to say, a bigger version of this funky and hard groove stuff. Longer breaks, more suitable for peak time DJs. Now here I might stumble on a problem because for the proper hard groove guys, this it's gonna be a little bit too commercial, I guess. They're used to just kind of loops mixing fast. They kind of hate big breaks, and this is where the problem might be. But at the same time, with the peak time crowd and DJs, they're all used to these typical rolling bass lines, drone sound, stuff like that. A certain rules in a certain genres. So I might be stuck somewhere in between. That, yeah, could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. I don't know. But for me, I like it this way. So in this video, I'm going to talk about what kind of drums I used, percussions, synths, arrangements, and all this stuff. So let's go and first start with a kick, and then we go from there. So the kick is combination of two kicks. One it's called Orang Lepanoga, which means this is in Slovenian. That means like very nice kick. uh, I use this very nice kick for the sub part of a kick for subs, and I used James Brown is that kick for a transient. I did this bootleg, James Brown is that, and it has a really nice dirty kick. So I combined the beauty and beauty of subby kick of a first kick and transient and dirtiness of the second kick. So let's go and have a listen how they sound solo and what kind of processing I did. Here, as you see, I have a shaper box, which I use for just shorten the kicks. So I am literally removing the dirtiness of original kick from here. Then it's a little bit of a bump of almost 2 dBs on 145 hertz, and ozone. This is the impact, and that's what I used. Let's have a listen how it sounds with and without. And this is with. And here, don't be fooled by the volume. One thing that actually a lot of producers, one thing that producers do the mistakes is exchanging loudness for being better or being worse. That means if it is louder, that means that it's better. If it's lower in volume, that means that it's worse. Um, so I what I've done with these kicks, I wanted to have it a little bit more nicer without that noise in the background, because I'm bringing the noise from the other kick and the transient. I like it there better. So this is exactly what I wanted to do this kick, and yeah, this is how it sounds. Okay, so let's go to the second one. Second one sounds like this. So in many kicks, I would actually remove this dirtiness and that kind of sound. I don't know how to describe that, but in this one, I love it. I tested it in the clubs and it works perfectly. So, so one noise and dirtiness from one kick can be shit, and in another one can be amazing. And this one, in my personal taste, sounds really good. So let's have a listen how it sounded before and how it sounds now. Voila, there's a rumble bass together. So that's why I use the shaper box. Then I added a little bit of transient and shaved sub from the kick. Okay, so here's the kick. Let's have a listen to the bass. It sounds very dirty, right? But that's the purpose of this. Let me talk a little bit of the dirtiness in peak time and dirtiness in let's call this hard groove, or I don't know, like the groove, the funky techno. I mean, I don't know what's going to be the new name of this, if it's going to change or it's just going to be hard groove. Uh, the the hard groove, it is dirty. In its essence, it's made by a lot of samples, and this version of the hard groove is definitely more on the commercial side than the original hard groove is. Back then, those were like we used like really dirty old school house loops, unfiltered, uncleaned, just the pure. I mean the pure, the old school noise that it brings, the richness of the old school house loops. This is what it was for. So when you're doing that stuff, you are doing exactly the opposite of what I was doing in a peak time. In a peak time, everything needs to be clean, tight, surgical precision. Um, Obviously, I use saturation in distortion as well in the peak time, but more in a controlled way, in a shorter sounds. When you use distortion, they don't seem as distorted as the long sounds, per se. It's like because they're shorter, it gets punchy. There's just the basic feel on a saturation or shorter sounds compared to the long. Okay, like to explain what I mean by that, if you're gonna use a long distorted 808, all the harmonics that distortion brings, it's gonna sound dirty. It's gonna sound dirty. If you're gonna bring that same distortion to a shorter kick, it's gonna have a completely different thing. And especially in the mix, the feel of longer sounds being distorted, it seems like they are more dirtier. That's just the way it is. Okay, so if I can compare these two things, peak time, it's a little bit cleaner, and hard groove is way more dirtier, way more groovier. That's the main difference. And here in this track, I'm using a dirty rumble. Let's have a listen how it sounded before. Even more dirtier. So I actually cleaned that bass a little bit, but it's still dirty compared to peak time stuff. So you see, I would till now I wouldn't use this kind of a kick in combination with bassline in peak time. No way. But in hard groove, that's the thing. So again, this is something in between. Again, you'll see. I need to talk about this a little bit. Um, when you're talking about hard groove, you can use one single loop and you know, if it's the right one, it will make all the difference, and you can make with think just with one single loop. That's, you know, and if there's a lot of percussions, hi-hats and other stuff inside, that's fine. My own personal taste is to bring a lot of loops inside. So basically, you see there's a lot of channels. There's 82 channels here, but you will see that in some on some on channels, you'll see there are loops that have like 20 sounds inside, you know, and then multiply with the next channel that have 7 sounds, and next one that have 12, and next one that it has, I don't know, 15. So at the end, who knows how many sounds it is in this track, and they just gonna act like a driving force, and that richness in the sound, the dirtiness of the beauty. I mean, when I'm talking the dirtiness of this in particular way, I'm actually saying in a nice way. This is what a hard groove needs. That's it just needs, or the funky techno, or call it what you want. Please don't lynch me because I'm using this word of the hard groove here. I know that it's not complete hard groove. It is a mix. So yeah, a lot of loops, a lot of tones. You'll see. Later on. You'll see that I didn't use a lot of high cut. I didn't clean those loops, which I would usually, because if I'm gonna clean that, I'm gonna take out the essence of what it is. Now, that doesn't mean that if you're gonna choose like really dirty loops and you don't need to clean them. That means that I chose those loops which are decent. They're not too distorted per se in the track, or they are in volume, just the round amount of the volume inside. So it's not too heavy on the ears. You know, I could go harder, I know, and some of them will go harder and they will choose dirtier sound. But that's my philosophy. You know, it's very important how you choose your supporting sounds. Okay, so I'm gonna move this. These are the vocals which were actually chosen at the beginning of the track, which are actually really nice, and maybe I'm gonna be sorry then use them later, but we're gonna come back to these vocals later. Okay, so here the next one is a rolling bass line. The rolling bass line, it's the same as we all know them in peak time techno, but if you start to put the rolling bass and you make a small melody out of it, you actually get a variation of so-called those Italo disco bass lines and disco bass lines. The king, there are two kings of this kind of bass lines. They made them really popular. I'm not sure if they were the first who made them, but these bass lines are associated with Giorgio Moroder and Patrick Cowley. These two guys made a lot of really cool disco and Italo disco records, and these kind of bass lines. So one thing is there are many records who use this kind of bass lines. The most this kind of similar. The most known is "I Feel Love" from Donna Summer, which the main producer was Giorgio Moroder, and yeah, that was an amazing track that we back the old school DJs. We most of us were influenced by this kind of music. So as you see, I used 16th notes like a regular rolling bass, but I just made a melody out of it. So it's at the same time it's similar, but at the same time it's different. You know, immediately when you introduce some different notes, that it's not just one note to 16, you get into the realm of more melodic stuff. Melodic, if this is a melodic compared to a straight 16 rolling bass that we all used to. So what I used here for this one is a Nexus. As you see, I own a lot of banks. It's a very cool synth sampler, already a lot of prepared sounds. If you're a guy who actually wants to work on your sounds from the beginning, I guess this is not for you. Look, I have melodic house, melodic techno banks, I have EDM banks, all this stuff, and you're gonna ask yourself why just not techno? Because if you just have techno, then you're gonna sound like everyone else. By doing, let's say, if you're gonna have a kick and a bass, all foundations techno, you can actually add up even with some EDM sounds, and it will still sound techno, but maybe something that other producers won't use. Or you can go and use ethno sounds on a good techno foundation, and you're gonna start sound different or whatever you want. So yeah, this is a rolling bass. I didn't do much. It's an ARP, but I used a melody on my that I made my own on my own. At least I think so. Did I? Yeah, I think I did. um, anyway, so let's hear the processing. This is how it sounds without everything. And I know the reaction. You're gonna say, "Why did you do the low cut?" Because it has such a rich bass line here. Because I want to have that pumping effect. So I did the low cut just to um, 24 dBs. You see, a small mistake, not a big one, but it is. I should use 12 dBs per octave, so I don't go out of phase. Anyway, it's not a big mistake, but like these small details, it could be better. So basically, a low cut. So I have enough space of for oh my god, the sub bass. Let's have a listen how it goes with combining it. You see, if I don't do the low cut, it's all over the place. So I wanted to have this modern kindish synth line just on the midtones. Sub bass is left to the rumble bass there. That's its function. So when you do it like that, imagine like that the frequencies are clashing with each other, so you don't want to have bass down there. Obviously, I wanted to have a sidechain for the pumping effect. The glue, so I did compression. More than 4 dBs. And shaper box, I added a little bit of reverb on this. Okay, so now you already hear a little bit of pumping, actually a lot of pumping. That means that the sound, like when the kick goes out, all the synths and everything else comes out unusually big in volume. I wouldn't do that in peak time where everything is polished. But here, back in the days, we were using most of us were using these cheap compressors, and we were overdriving them, using it too much, pumping loud like crazy. It was just this aesthetic of the sound back then. And I remember, yeah, everybody was like using these drummer compressors. Just, I'm not sure that we really knew what we are doing back then. It just sounded cool, that pumping FX. These days, that would consider a mistake. Is it a mistake? Yes, if you don't want to do that on purpose. If it's done on purpose, then it is an aesthetic of the track. And in this case, this is what I wanted to do. Later on the mastering, I'll show you the plugin that I don't use very often, but I used it again here, and it actually provides this pumping when you're doing this stuff too much. And again, if this is the aesthetic that you want, then it's fine. If you're gonna do it by accident, not by accident, if you're gonna do it by, let's say, by accident, but then you don't know how to repair that, then, and you would like to repair that, then that is a mistake. If you want to do that, then it's not. I remember back in the days where like there were these small breaks, like the synths came out for, I don't know, 9 dBs or so. It was so crazy, but we loved it. The aesthetic of like ducking heavily yeah, for today's standard, in a wrong way. We loved it back then, and I try to keep this feeling in this track. Um, Again, I'm not sure if people will even notice that. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. Now you will, because you're going through each by each channel, and you're gonna see what I've done, and it sounds interesting, and I'm explaining you what to listen, and I'm explaining you what was the point. But I don't know if someone who's not in your production will listen to the mastering, will even notice that. Anyway, okay, let's go and have a listen to a lot of. There's a lot of drum loops. There's like I might be even exaggerating with this with loops. It could have less, yeah, maybe two or three of them. You wouldn't even notice that it's different. But I kept it like that. I kept it dirty for listeners. Let's have a listen. So as you see, like in these things, there's okay, there's a low cut, high cut, like heavily EQ'd, but this percussion, I didn't do much except like low and high cut. Here there's like I did what I did probably, just lowered the volume. So there's not much that I've done with this. And basically, if you would see me doing peak time techno, this would be already processed completely different in terms of more polished, maybe some more stereo information, maybe a little bit of reverb, this and that. So all these shiny small things, which with this track, no, I wanted to keep it. Raw is not the right word, but more raw as it is, as it meant to be, more dirty. That's the word. So these are claps, a few claps. Maybe there's one more down there. So claps again, as you can see on the EQ, nothing really spectacular happening. Again, like low cut, not much, like really not much. Here's a little bit of, a lot of sidechain, because of this clap is here for delays, and it gets away gets on the way with other stuff. So this is why I sidechained it. And now here we have shakers and percussions. And again, this is dirty. It's dirty. Is it unbearable? No, because these are the sounds that I chose that way. Again, yeah, I said it before. I'm going to say it again. It's very important how I choose the sounds. They would be more annoying, you could clean them, But again, you will bring out that dirtiness. Again, there is a difference. I would say that I choose in this genre a medium dirty sounds. I don't go completely into like that heavy hard groove per se, and I don't go into softer sounds. It's somewhere in between. So already by that, it doesn't need that much cleaning. If I would go now, I need to clean this thing, I would use the charm of this groove. A lot of high tones on this one. how many things is in this loop. Like if I remove the low cut, it's gonna be the whole loop. I mean, in this case, I put this percussions completely into the left. And if I'm honest, I could use this trick a little bit more even with this track. I could use a few more percussions just to put them like completely left and right. Because it gives a better ambience. Is that the right thing? Is the ambience the reverb? No. I mean, in terms of like, okay, the perception of left and ear. That's probably the right expression. So when something is playing completely into your left ear and something is playing completely to the right ear, your brain this perceives as excitement. It's different. It's like different information to the left and the right ear, and that's already interesting for your brain. It has to process two different channels by left and right ear, and it's different. So yeah, when it mixes up in your head, I guess that is perceived that's interesting. Another clap. A little bit of bongo conga. Again, you see, it's dry. It's dry. Could it have a reverb? Yes. Would it sound good? I guess so. This was again a choice. I wanted to keep it a little bit more simple. Now, if I would get a demo where I would listen to the separate channels, I would, and I would say to, I mean, the guy would ask me like what to improve. Maybe I would say it's a little bit dry, if I'm honest. So this is why I'm saying it would have a reverb on it. It could, but it doesn't. Does it make it this a boring track? No, sounds perfectly fine. Another clap snare as an FX. Okay, so if you're an old school DJ, you will recognize this, and I could actually cover my S, and I could change. I could change the name of the sample, but I left it on purpose. Basically, this snap is from Mr. Sliff, Adam Bayer alias, and it's a fantastic thing. I love this snap. Could I use other snaps? Yes. If you heard my polyvinyl stuff, there are some snaps inside, perfectly cool, perfectly nice. I could use that, but yeah, this was so cool back then. I don't know who was the first who started using these snaps. Probably Samuel L. Session, probably, or was it Jeff Mills? And we loved it back then. I decided to sample. Why not? I don't think this hurts much. I don't think Adam's gonna go mad if he hears that I sample his snap from his track, and it sounds like this. You see, it's a clap, it's a kick down there. There's another percussion which was the part of the track. But yeah, if I wanted to have this, yeah, I have to sample it and process it, and this is the processing. Yeah, it's perfect. And no wonder, because he chose the sample so good and nice. So like it's almost impossible that this snap wouldn't sound good in a funky techno. Hi hats, dirty and heavy. Listen to this, for example. If I show you this, this is the, like this could be another track. I could use this loop for a completely different track, and I could make another polyvinyl, and this would like kick the bass, and this loop would be it would be a foundation for the next track. But here is just the part of the whole structure of the track. Yeah, I could easily start a new track with that. But when you process this thing, it becomes a part of this song. So basically, when you hear stuff like that, you naturally think, okay, it's so simple. It's just one loop. What? You know, it's just one loop with the background, one hi-hat on top of it, clap, a snare, and we go. But the truth is, if that would be the secret sauce, then every single hard groove, funky techno, call it what you want track would sound amazing. And it doesn't. It's again, the most important thing is you as a producer, what kind of loops you choose, what kind of kick, what kind of bass, what, I don't know. And all these things add up at the end. And, you know, if you're going to choose your loops wrong, then a track is not good. Track at the end is not going to be good. It's just the way it is. And it's the same like when you do peak time techno and basically you go to Splice and you're choosing kicks. We have, all of us, we have the same kicks at disposal. All of us, we are searching at the same sample bank. Or you go and you process the 909 from the beginning, and it's up to you how you're going to process it. That's the work. And when somebody says, yeah, there's just some few loops, blah, 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 tell him, come to the studio and choose them, and we'll see if it's that easy. I mean, back in the days, pioneers of the hard groove like Jeff Mills, Ben Sims, why they did this job so good? Because it's in them, it's in their brain, in their soul. You know, they can feel it. They live that sound, and that's what makes producer being really good, to stand out. So like you think, okay, I'm gonna just use this loop and I'm gonna later correct it with a sound, with this and that. No. These loops are the essential of this kind of music. Without a proper choosing loops, there is no good track. You might have an average tracks and they're gonna be So like you need to build up a knowledge of how these loops how they sound. And like basically if you go to YouTube and you see, I've seen the videos where people are like choosing these hard grooves, loops, and they're just throwing in loops, and like they can make a track and they make an bad track or even like a medium good track. And then there are people who are not into this style and commenting, yeah, like everything is pre-made, blah blah, this and that. There's a whole thing of knowing old school music and where to get these loops from. It's like it's crate back then. It was crate digging, where like we were going into secondhand shops. We were like buying all these disco samples and then like sample them and then use them in our track. You know, it was super heavy. Right now you have all these loops at the disposal, and everybody's doing that, and it's easy. But in this easy job, you stand out by perfecting this art of choosing the proper loops together. And when you have the proper loops, obviously you have to have a proper kick, a proper bass. Like if you're having vocals on top, then there's another thing. Like I'm using in this track, vocals, and not gonna name names, but like close friends of mine, people that I work together with music, they would play this track, but they hate the vocals. They just hate. And every time when I send them like something that has the vocals, they always say to me, man, you have an amazing groove, you have an amazing track, but remove those vocals. Or they're gonna do their own edit on their own and they're gonna remove it. It's a part of the track that bothers a lot of people. But like for me, it would be the easiest way to remove them. But no, I think this track is better like that, and I'm gonna keep it like that. So all these things, small things, do matter and add up. So choose your loops wisely and yeah, and smartly. Okay, so here's the atmosphere. I love this vocoder. Such a small part of the track, and I am super attached to this vocal. I don't know if if you even noticed these small vocoders before you saw this video. Like if you're watching this after the track was released and you already know the track, please let me know if you even notice these vocoders inside. But for me, they're a super important part of the track. And yeah, maybe nobody cares about this, but I do, and I love them. Let's have a listen how this sounded before and after. And now with all the processing. So I have a little bit of soot on there to remove the resonances, low and high cut, tremolo, so it goes left and right. Then I have a shaper box to do the filtering, to going up and down in brightness. Then timeless is responsible for delays, and a little bit of glue and a kickstart for sidechaining. And these are all the main parts of the track, all the parts that are actually important in this track. And when you have this, that's enough to do a decent track. That's like these are the main elements, and everything else is support to these grooves that I made. So we're gonna go quickly through these FXs. We're gonna go through rises, the vocal that I wanted to have at the beginning, but then I chose a different one. And please comment if I chose the right one, or it would be better that I left the original one, the first one. Okay. So there's a lot of swooshes, there's a lot of like impacts and stuff like that, the usual suspects. So as we know, all the FXs and stuff, they are actually connectors. They're in service of making arrangement more smooth and kind of give you an alert that some change is coming. This is why I use them, and this is how I see these ear candies, FXs. Yeah. Again, this vocoder, it's really nice, really exciting. A small detail that again maybe you won't care about it, but I do a lot. We got the fire. And we burn it up. We got the fire. We got the fire. And we burn it up. We got let's have a listen how it sounds without FXs. Just the main part.
We got the fire and we burn it up. We got the fire.
And then when you turn on all the processing, it sounds even better. It sounds fantastic.
We got the fire and we burn it up. We got the fire. We got the fire and we burn it up. We got the fire. We got the fire and we burn it up. We got the fire. We got the fire.
Okay, let me show you the vocals that I chose first. Again, a nice, I chose a nice vocoder, but I didn't use it at the track. Let me know which one you prefer, the one that you heard just now or the one that I'm gonna play you now. Yeah, for me, I had a problem to choose between these two vocals because I love them both. Why I chose We Got the Fire, because that vocoder down there atmospherically sounds really nice, but you can hear shit what he's saying, what she's saying, and it was a little bit muddy. Again, but it brought a nice atmosphere to the track compared to this vocal where you can hear everything. Now, again, let me know if I did a mistake or not. Yeah, let's go. Atmosphere. So a lot of percussions to add up the tension. Nothing that you haven't seen in my tracks. If you follow me on Patreon, build up, yeah, just everything in the service of bringing that attention to the highest point, and then obviously a drop as a release. Snares, yeah, noises, all the usual suspects in a break of peak time. Combining with this funky techno. What I would love to show you here is this, is actually this sound, like something like alarm, and it sounds really cool in the track. But I'm gonna show you the processing behind it, and yeah, let me know if you like it. Hi-hat for tension. Okay, let me show you how this sounds without. So yeah, it comes from like a pretty boring, I don't know, alarm sound. It comes to this huge siren sound at the end. And I use the layer 1 octave down, a little bit left and right, as you see. again, some rides coming later, FXs, nothing really groundbreaking. All these things are pretty known now in production. Okay, so when we go now to bus channels, look, it is a disappointment, right? There is not much going on. Not really much going on. Let's have a listen what it is here. I used an ozone here, maximizer plus an EQ. I sometimes I actually color or add up frequencies like 1 octave up, 2 octaves up, or 3 octaves up on a certain sound. Let's if it is the bass, then I'm gonna go up. If let's say if I have a synth that doesn't have like frequencies down there, I can distort a little bit, and then a distortion I'm bringing of harmonics, and then I'm actually adding certain frequencies like let's say an octave up, octave down, or maybe vice versa. If there's if you have like really high tones, high melody, and you're missing some body or mid tones, you go 1 octave down or 2 octaves down, and you add up. Bringing some frequencies up. That's the thing that I do quite a lot, and I did it like here. So with the maximizer, I was gaining some volume later on in the mix by limiting, so I wouldn't have a. It's a little bit strange how you're limiting to gaining some volume at the end, but yeah, that's how it works. What do we have here? Just some stereo information, a little bit maximizer. Um, if you don't have by now, the space control is absolutely beautiful. I know there's already a space control 2 out. I think I'm gonna buy it quite soon. But this is a plugin that I used in every single track. And if you don't have it by now, I suggest that you buy it. No, I suggest you try the demo, and if you like it, then buy it. Anyway, as you see, there's not much, just a little bit of glue. Nothing spectacular here on buses. So let's go to mastering chain. I'm starting with this Neutron. Why am I using Neutron? Force of habit, and one really important thing is auto gain. I am trying to use as much as possible auto gain plugins. Why is that? Because our brain tricks us, and if it goes louder, that it means our brain perceives it that it's better, it's more exciting, and immediately most of us, myself included, did many mistakes. Just because something is louder, we think that it's better. With the plugins like that, especially with the compressor, because it's quite complicated, and you know how much problems you had with the compressors. Here with the actual auto gain, it is much easier to judge if it does something or not. So here I am compressing about 2 dBs, quite a lot, you know, because usually I would go for a dB up to 2 maybe. I mean, quite a lot, not a lot, but still just a little bit more than usually. Then this TDR low cut again. I spoke about this already in the different videos. I'm using this because apparently it's not going to change the phase of your bass. Can you do this with EQs? Yes, you can. I am just spoiled, and I'm using this just to be sure. Reso. Why I'm using Reso? Guys, I have Sudi. For some reason, at the master, you need to be really careful with these frequencies. And the way how the Reso works is I intend to use it less. I don't know. That must be some psychology in the background. Like when you have a SUDI, you can easily turn that knob, and all the graphics is really nice, and you intend to remove the resonances, and obviously I'm not sure if these plugins are trained so perfectly that they would remove the resonances, just the resonances, and actually removing the tone too. I find it that the reso, it's harder to turn it down. Look, I'm gonna play it with and without, and you'll see that it's not gonna be much not gonna do much. I mean, it's gonna do, but not that much. Ah, it's doing yeah, some processing. But like if you want to remove this, you initially have to press these buttons and go one by one. So by default you tend to use it less. You know what I mean? It's like if I would have all these channels, four of them on, like that could be easily used, but it forces you to use it one by one, and that means it's gonna be more subtle. And mastering, it's not a time where you go and do your crazy processing. If you need to do crazy processing on mastering, then that's a clear sign that there's something that needs to be done in the mixing. And if that's the case, go back and mix it again. That's a clear sign. And this is why I found the Reso interesting. I am not saying that other plugins can do that, but I'm saying it it's it's done, at least for my brain, really well. So I'm not exaggerating. That's how we describe it. Next thing, it's Neutron 5, a plugin that I don't recommend. Here I used it for that pumping FX, and I chose to, because it's so what it does, like you have another app where it analyzes other tracks, and then you import that curvature to this Neutron 5, and I used it because I wanted to have let's say a taste of what I have done together with Hertz. It suits me. It's I don't know. It's in this case I chose that color. You know what I mean? The color of the track. Let's have a listen. Does it do much? It does a little bit, not like wow, wow, wow. But that is the case. But be very careful. I did a lot of mistakes because of this plugin. Like really, really careful. It might be, it's a cool thing, you know. It catches a curve of a different track, and you will bring it to your own track. It sounds so magical, but in most of the cases, being too radical with this, it's gonna ruin your mixes. So watch out, right? Watch out. Don't be just like, Umek used it in a diss track that I really like, I'm gonna use it too. Very, very careful. Again. Okay, so the next one is a little bit of the transients with split EQ. Yeah, this is a plugin that did miracles for me. How many years is out? 2, 3? I don't know. I bought it when it came out, and it really did a miracle. I still use it. Are there better transient designers out now? Yes, they're more in control. But back then, they did miracles, and still till today it works really, really nice. Okay, so then the next one, what I did is a maximizer. I use it a lot lately. Again, for those who follow me, you see that I did a clipper thingy for a while. I intend to go away from the clipper now in most of the cases, because I think that this way that I'm mastering now, it is a little bit better. And again, this is a process now. I am changing. I might go back and I'm gonna go and I'm gonna say no, no, the clipper thing, it's better. I am still in a process of finding out if it's not good, if this is better than the clipper mastering thing that I do. Um, I think it is now. I think it is now, but I still need to do, let's say, a few months of mastering, so I can get a distance from using clippers on mastering, and then just L1 at the end, or like using maximizer and do a little bit different approach. Um, as you see now here in this track, I used Pro L2. In some of the tracks, I don't even use that. I just keep it this maximizer, and that's it. It's like when you wanna share the load of work that the certain things do, then I would go a little bit less on, let's say, on maximizer, and I would use a limiter at the end to catch the peaks and stuff like that. It's just something that I'm gaining the volume, and in this case, it sounded still okay. When you go into distortion mode, if it can get pretty dirty, and obviously there is a time where you go too dirty. And anyway, let's have a listen how this sounds with and without L2 and Ozone Maximizer. Okay, so this is loud, 5.5 lofts. Could I go louder? Of course, I could go louder. Is there need for it? No, there's no need. There's no need to go louder. Is it on the verge of distortion? No, it is distorted already by all standards. There's like if you're gonna show this track to an engineer who's into other stuff, he's gonna say, yeah, this is completely squashed, and he's right. But in standard of EDM, I could still squash it. That's what I wanted to say. I could, and it would still be. It still would go well with electronic producers and DJs. It would still. I'm sure I have another dB of headroom here, but why? Five and a half loves. Oh my God, that's squashed. Everything. I mean, even if you have 8, 9, 7 loves, that's already squashed by the standards of sound engineers around the world who mix pop music and stuff like that, and who actually talk about dynamics. Remember, guys, all of there's no dynamics, literally no dynamics here left with 5-point loops. Anyway, I'm just saying I could go louder, and for the electronics producers still would be okay, but 5.5 it's more than loud. I would even suggest to go a little bit lower in general. Okay, so again, remember this track is it is different by standards of peak time. It's different by standard of hard groove and raw style. If you see a lot of my latest tracks are in peak time, just because maybe the arrangement and some stuff it is peak time, but if you hear them, they're not peak time. They're like literally not peak time, and they're still in on beatport's peak time genre. But what can you do? They cannot do every single different genre when somebody decided to do something in between peak time and hard groove or funky techno, so then we would have millions of genres. That being said, it's really cool because you sound like nothing else at the moment, but you have a problem where they're gonna put you in, or you're gonna be on the raw techno, or you're gonna be in peak time. You don't belong anywhere. So in terms of sales, that's the worst thing you can do, because you're not gonna find your perfect customers. You're not gonna find. Yeah, I know it doesn't sound romantic when I'm calling customers, but like people are buying your tracks on a Beatport, and you get charted, and you lose chart positions because of that. But if you like something and if you think that this is cool, and if you know that this is something that you play and love, fuck it, who cares? Just do this thing that it's somewhere in between, or do something that it's completely into raw or into peak time. That's something that you choose. Anyway, this was We Got the Fire. I hope you found some interesting insights. Video was quite fast. I'm not sure if it's 1 hour long. A lot of you are complaining that the videos are too long, too much in details and stuff like that, which is funny for me because I am coming from old school approach where you wanted to see all these small details, and I'm kind of worried when I hear these kind of comments that something is too long because all the details are in the long videos. All the things that are making a difference are in the long videos. And yeah, this is why this is a little bit shorter. I could talk about this track in details like for 3-4 hours easily. But here we have 1 hour version. You get all the perks. You can see how everything was made. I guess this is cool too. Anyway, thank you for your time and see you soon. Ciao.